Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to episode 33 of the Wellness Foreplay podcast. We are Dr. Dondi and Marcy Nettles.
Hey, guys.
We are your hosts, and we are excited. We're going to talk about some detox today. We're going to talk about toxicities and why they're bad and why you want to limit them.
Yeah, definitely, because there's a lot of stuff out there that you may not even be aware of that you can actually have some control over and might want to look at reducing in your life. So that's what this episode is going to be all about. But first, let's share with you a little bit about what this podcast is. So for me, I'm a former police detective, and you?
I'm a former family wellness chiropractor and AM talk radio show host.
Yeah, and so we decided that we wanted to put our heads together and
our
do
skills together.
Yeah, and our skills, and to be able to do the investigations, to be able to come up with information that can really help you and be the foreplay to your health and wellness journey.
Yes.
So what we share with you, we're not saying that we're experts on anything. We're actually just going out and doing some investigations and sharing with you the things that we learn. Okay? So
Absolutely.
So I am really excited about this episode. And the way that we do these is we have one topic and we choose 4 questions that we'll answer about that specific topic, hence the name Wellness Foreplay, right? It's kind of fun, isn't it? But today, again, the topic, let's go ahead and get this going up here, is how to stay healthy in a toxic world.
It's getting increasingly more difficult, but if you arm yourself with knowledge, which is what we're here to do today, it can ease that load for you because it's very important.
It really is, because it affects every aspect of your life. I mean, I know a lot of people think about there being toxins in the air, the air that you breathe, or even toxins in the water. But we're going to be talking about some things that maybe you haven't even thought of that could be bringing toxicity into your life, because it really does go through every aspect of your life, whether it is your mind, your body, your emotions, your home, your relationships, and your environment. So we're going to be talking about those things. So the 4 questions that we have today for you are, the first one is, how can you lower the toxicity in your home? Question number 2 is going to be, how can you lower the toxicity in your environment? Question number 3 is, how can you lower the toxicity in your mind and body? And then question number 4 is, what resources can you use to learn more about how you can lower the toxicity in your life?
Yeah,
all right.
All around.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'm excited. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so
Let's
right
do
here.
this.
So what we're going to do here, we actually go live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube all at the same time, and we'll be uploading this to all the platforms for podcasts too. So for our listening audience, we are so glad that you're here with us as well. So let's go ahead and hop in here to question number 1. Again, it is, how can you lower the toxicity in your home? Such a good question, and it's such a conversation that everybody needs to have. So as we're going through these questions, we just kind of want to challenge you. Do a little evaluation. Be thinking about you. Don't be thinking about what other people are doing, right? What you see all the time, so it must be okay. No, be thinking about and doing an evaluation for yourself, for your family, for your household, on how you can, maybe make some improvements. And first of all, identify if you have a problem in the first place.
Right.
So talking about, toxicity in our homes, what are some good ways for us to be able to first be aware and then reduce toxicity?
Yeah, the first thing is awareness. And when we think about toxicity in our home, a lot of it is probably things that you don't think of necessarily, because it may be in what you have determined or have been told, or is a safety measure. Like, say, things to kill germs, like, say, things that you wipe down your countertops or wash your hands with or wash your clothes in or spray in the air. They may kill germs, but guess what? Germs are living things, and you're a living thing.
Yep.
So things that may be intended to kill germs and do in fact kill germs may also be slowly killing you. So we want to help you just with an overall awareness. So just because something is good at killing germs doesn't mean it's safe for you and your family and deserves to be in your house. So some of the things like bleach, for example, or chlorine, which are meant to kill microorganisms primarily in water, but on certain surfaces, they're also very toxic. And so there's there's cleaner ways of doing that, which we'll share with you. But also, what about the clothing that you put on your body? Or how about the fabrics that you sleep on, your bedding? How about if you're watching a movie on the couch and you put a blanket around you? Is it a natural fiber? Is it a synthetic fiber? Synthetic fibers often have chemicals.
Like, wait a minute, there's toxins in blankets?
There's toxins in blankets. Yes,
What?
there is.
That's just crazy. I mean, have you ever thought about it that way though, guys? Did you know that anything that's around you has the potential, if it's synthetic, to be really toxic?
It does. And the dyes that actually, even if it's a natural fabric, if it's a natural fabric that's dyed an unnatural color, then it could be potentially harmful to you. And you don't, because you put it on your body can absorb some of the chemicals in there. It can outgas and you could be breathing it in. So just some general wellness principles to be aware of and implement into your home to keep you and your family safer.
Yeah. Okay. So talking about the clothing we've put on, we've talked about blankets, we've talked about even couches. Think about couches. Think about the protection.
Carpets.
Isn't there something like the protectant on leather is like a formaldehyde type thing? And formaldehyde's like not good for a living body.
No, but it actually preserves dead bodies.
Right.
That's what it's made for.
And yet if you lay on a leather couch that's been preserved by it, then you could have that toxicity absorbing into your skin. So things to be thinking about.
Unfortunate, but true.
Yeah, things to be thinking about. And then there's lighting. There's all kinds of different types of lighting that you can choose in your house. Some's better for you and some's worse. What are some of the better lighting options that aren't as harsh?
Natural lighting is always the best.
Yes.
So for skylights, windows, maybe if you've got some blinds on the windows, open up the blinds, let the natural light in. Natural light is always best. There's other lights like LED lights that could actually be tuned to the frequency of natural light or natural sunlight, where you want it, like fluorescent lights, for example, can actually be toxic to you because there's fluorine gas in there. There's all kinds of radon gas is another example of what is in fluorescent lighting. Also, incandescent lighting can have toxicity in it too. So the more, and you can, I mean, if you go to places like Sprouts or Whole Foods, you can or even online on Amazon, you can have healthy type lighting. LED is good, but there's also a time of day when lights can be differently, it can affect you differently, and it can affect your circadian rhythms, your sleep cycles, your sleep-wake cycles. So candlelight after dark is great. Turn off all the natural light, or turn off all the electric lights in your house and light some candles. It'll help your body produce melatonin. It'll get you ready for the sleep cycle, get you actually tired so you don't have to take sleep aids and things of that nature. But lighting in your house can be toxic, and you can just look at some LEDs is a good option, turning off lights after sunset, and there's other forms of light that can be better for you. But fluorescent lights you want to kind of stay away from.
Yeah. Okay. So we live here in Arizona, guys, and it's really hot. And so we have air conditioning going all of the time. Gosh, it was just a few weeks ago that we went and we took out our filters to change them out, right? Because you got to make sure that you're keeping those clean up in there, because if you're not, then it just kind of recirculates stuff throughout the system. And so air filters is another thing that you need to be really cognizant of inside of your home. First of all, is it made of something that is not going to be putting more toxins in through your house as the air rushes through it? I know that there's HEPA filters.
Yes.
So those are a good option to be able to use to help to cut down on the toxicity and to provide a better filtering throughout the house. So that's one of the things. You know what? I want to talk a little bit about what we listen to and what we watch inside of our homes.
Oh yeah, what you allow into your mindset.
Yes.
Into your bandwidth.
So what are you listening to? Yes, yes. What are you listening to in your house? Are you listening to, do you have the news running all day long? Because if you do, more than likely, you're bringing a lot of toxic energy into yourself, into your house, and into your being, into your family. And that's one of the things too, is if you've noticed over the past 18 months or so, that your family is having more arguments, or it's like conflict all the time in your communication. If you've noticed that, start to evaluate the things that you're listening to, the things that you're focusing on, what you're letting into your mind. Because, truthfully, garbage in, garbage out.
Mhm.
And that can create, first of all, a toxic environment inside your brain because that's what you're focusing on. But it's also toxic for your relationships, for the people around you inside of your home. And then 5G, you share on this 5G stuff.
5G, I mean, it's very controversial. 5G is an unnatural airwave. It has all kinds of issues, health issues, and there are ways to protect yourself. I don't want to get into the debate on whether or not 5G is very good for us because we have upload speeds and download speeds and we get on the internet faster and we have is it a technological breakthrough? Yes, but there is going to be consequences that come from that. The radiation part of 5G. And there's a great book by Dr. Joe Mercola. It's called EMF'd. So EMF apostrophe D. You can understand what that is intending to refer. But it talks about 5G, what is the negative consequences for our health in 5G. And you can protect your devices because you get better speeds with 5G, but it can be toxic to you because it's a radioactive wave. There are things called Faraday bags that you can put your phone in overnight. Turn off your Wi-Fi, turn off your router overnight, and put your phone in a Faraday bag so you're not exposing yourself to this radiation. And you can find that, like, again, in Dr. Joe Mercola's book called EMF'd. You can find these bags on Amazon. They're just to protect you and your family from the radiation that comes from the technological breakthrough of 5G, but the toxic load. And we're going to be seeing more and more and more about 5G as people get comfortable understanding it, find out how toxic it can be, how damaging it can be to our bodies, and people have become more informed about it. We don't want to turn the show into a 5G show, but we could definitely do that, but we want to just make sure that it's
down the road
that you're monitoring in your home, minimizing as much as possible. Turn your router off at night, turn your Wi-Fi off at night, put your phones in a Faraday bag, and protect yourself and your family.
Yeah. Great tips right there.
There's also filters you can put on your phone that put literally stick adhesive on the back of your phone to limit 5G as well. The radiation exposure. You still get the technology breakthrough, but it limits the radiation exposure too, because a lot of these things are right by our head or in our hands all day long, giving us that 5G radiation.
Well, and that's another thing too, is that being able to use the speaker phone instead of putting it right up next to your head. There's different ways that you can eliminate some of the toxicity coming from the devices themselves. Pesticides. Guys, I mean, especially if you live somewhere that's got a lot of little icky bugs, right? You got to be cautious about how poisonous, literally poisonous. If there is warning labels on there, or you need to put your dog somewhere that they can't get into what's being sprayed, you probably don't want it being sprayed. So really look into what is in the pesticides that the people that are using on your home, what is it? And be aware of what those consequences can be, because it really can affect your cognitive ability, your memory, all kinds of different things. And that's just a couple of the things that pesticides can do to you. How many of you love candles, scented candles, or aerosol sprays, or anything that has some sort of a scent to clean up the air in your house? Well, you really got to be careful. You got to be careful what you're using, what you're burning inside your home, because a lot of the times those fragrances are toxic, and what is going into your body is not good for you. And that's an interesting thing too, that I'm sure that we'll cover here on question number 3, just about how sometimes even natural is not the best.
Yeah, especially with things like essential oils. While they're great, they're naturally, your body can be very sensitive to them, especially in topical use. But fragrances, and we'll talk later about how you can monitor some of the body products or some of the personal care products with a wonderful app we're going to talk about. But one of the biggest violators is the fragrance. A lot of the times the fragrances, some of the things in, whether it's air fresheners or, like Marcy said, scented candles, they can be very toxic to the environment and very bad for your body. So we'll show you how to limit some of those as well.
And then, okay, let's talk a little bit about cookware. Okay. That non-stick stuff is toxic.
It's toxic.
It's not good. I know that it's
Silicone.
A pain in the butt to have stainless steel and to have to clean, that, the way food sticks to it sometimes, but it's better than the non-stick. The non-stick technically is poisoning your food. Plus, if you heat it too high, it can actually put smoke out into the air that is also toxic. So non-stick is not your friend.
Stainless steel.
Yeah, and then you mentioned cleaning products a little bit already, but you know, what is the soap that we like so
Castile
much?
soap. Castile soap and just regular white distilled vinegar, probably the best household cleaners you can find, and they're not toxic.
Yeah, you know what's
also work really well.
And what's awesome about that same mixture with water in a sprayer, it's a really great little pesticide too. So it's natural. It's not going to poison you. You can use it in your garden on fruits and vegetables that you might be eating, or you can use it around your dogs or your kids, and you don't have to worry about it. So those are just some of the things.
And
yeah, go ahead.
Add a little citronella oil in it or some lavender oil, essential oil in it, and it works as a great mosquito and bug repellent.
Yes, instead of the toxic sprays that we generally get in the stores, right? Okay, so those are some of the things that you need to evaluate in your house about how you can lower the toxicity inside of your home. So let's jump into question 2. And this is going to be all about your environment. How can you lower that toxicity in your environment? And so when we're talking about that, again, start to do this evaluation as we're starting to talk about things. Evaluate how your environment is affecting you and what is in it that you should probably take a look at and maybe change a little bit, even starting with the people that you surround yourself with, because people can be super toxic. Okay.
Yeah, they can.
People can bring you down. People can steal your dreams from you. They can make you think small really fast if you have the wrong people around you. If you're asking the wrong people for advice, then you're absolutely never going to get close to what you really want to accomplish. So you've got to evaluate the people around you. If those people that are in your same house are negative, then maybe you need to start having conversations about how you can change the environment. Maybe you need to flip the switch on the TV or flip the switch on the radio and turn on something more positive, and it just might change the toxic person that's around you into being a positive person instead of negative.
And there's always other rooms. There's always just a simple civil discussion. Hey, I really appreciate it. I love you, but you're kind of getting on my nerves. Keep those kinds of opinions to yourself and just be pleasant, be respectful, be courteous, and be humble. And if you just kind of bring those qualities to the conversation, especially for the people that are in your own home, most of the time it will diffuse them, especially if they're coming from a negative perspective. And a lot of that is what they're allowing in their ears, in their eyes, and into their minds. And a lot of it because the world is a very negative place. If it's never been more negative than it is at this very second, all you have to do is turn on the TV, which we advise you not to do, especially the local news.
No,
or any
the
news,
federal news or any news. There's just not.
Negativity sells. If it's controversial, it brings attention. If it brings attention, it distracts people from other things they should be caring about and be spending time with, like their family, and on positivity. So one of the big rules in our house, no TV.
No, well, you know what?
We have a TV, but we watch movies on it occasionally, but we haven't had actual TV service So we've never had it
since we've been married. Yeah. So I love this. We've got a viewer on Facebook, David. Hey, he says, I am moving in with you too. Well, David, awesome. I don't know about that, but you take some of these ideas and absolutely implement them. And I love what you've already added in here. Great value there. Thank you so much, friend. And so when we're talking about the TV and the news, I just wanted to add this. I had this thought. It's like, you know what? I want you to just try 1 second here and think about something that's on the news that you can control, that you can change. There's not anything on the news that you can change personally, right? And so if there's nothing about it that you can change, then don't focus on it. Don't spend your time on it. Your time's too valuable, and certainly do not worry about it. But what you need to do is then reframe, change your mind, look at the things that you can control, the things that you can do something about, and the things that you can impact, and get to work doing it. Okay? Get to work doing it.
You know, and when we have conversations with people and we tell them, you know, when they, hey, what did you see? What did you think about this that happened? And it's like, I don't even know anything about that. And it's like, well, don't you want to know what's going on in the world? And it's like, not really, because what really is happening in the world, if it's negative, I don't want to hear about it, because it's what you allow into your consciousness and what you allow to influence you is how you are going to be controlled. And if there's one thing about the news right now, and it is very politically minded, you can be on both sides of the equations, but they're not talking about what is newsworthy and what is actually happening. They're talking about the narrative. And how do you know that? Because the people in Denver, they're saying exactly word for word what they're saying in San Francisco, what they're saying in Los Angeles, because it's a script. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily news. It's what sells. It's what gets people emotionally riled, which is exactly the reason why you should turn it off.
Yes.
So, and even the newspaper. So we live very, very well without really caring what's happening in the world. And it's not that, what difference does it make? That's negative. Yes,
because we care very much about the world.
We want to help people. We want to remedy wrongs and provide solutions. We just don't want to be caught up in all the negativity, which is what most people talk about. If it's positive, it doesn't sell very well. The negative things are on the front page. The positive things, if you can find them in your local newspaper or in magazines or on the news channels, it's not going to be positive, which is why you should just turn it off, tune it out.
Yeah, and this all
read a book.
It all carries over into social media too, guys. Yeah, you really got to pay attention to how much time you're spending on the different platforms. I mean, obviously we're hitting you guys up on a few different social media platforms right now, right? And so it's not all bad. It's very, very good in being able to connect with people. But what we have to train ourselves to do is to make sure that if we do get into a scroll, that when something that is negative pops up, it's not where we stop and where we add negativity. We can have the choice to just scroll right by it. We don't have to contribute. We don't have to add more negativity into the fire. Let's go find some positive posts and contribute there. Contribute some hope, some positivity, some suggestions, some solutions, right? Instead of going to the negative posts and camping out there. No. That's not where you want to go, and just be aware of social media and where you're spending your time there. Your work. Do you want to tell you, and I don't mean your work, but I mean work. When you have to go to work, that's a huge part of the time of day that people spend.
And their life.
Yeah. Yeah. You actually devote more time to going to work to help someone else accomplish their goals and dreams than a lot of the times you get to spend at home with your family. And unfortunately, a lot of the time you're not fulfilled, and a lot of the time it becomes a negative situation because you get to work with other people, right? And unfortunately, the negativity that can happen in your workplace, if it does, can spill over into your home and into your relationships there. And so if there's negativity in your work, you need to really look and focus on ways that you can possibly bring positivity into the situation. But if there's no way for you to positively affect what's going on there, sometimes the best thing is to look for a different job. There's a lot of jobs out there right now, by the way, just so you know, there's a lot of people.
And if there's one you like that isn't there, create it. I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk, if you know who he is. He's the chairman and CEO of VaynerMedia, an amazing guy. I mean, he's an immigrant from Russia, born in Russia, moved to New Jersey with his family, joined the family wine business, and has become one of the most successful entrepreneurs. Well, he was talking with this little child. The kid was probably 8 or 9 years old, and the kid was interviewing him. And he said, if you were my dad and I was your son, and I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I wanted to start my own business, would you help me do that? And he said, absolutely, I would help you do that. And the kid said, well, what would we do? He said, I would just ask you, what are you passionate about? What do you love doing? Let's start there. So what do you just totally love to do? And the kid said, karate. And he said, awesome. We would just find out, what can we do? We can build a brand around karate. Maybe we could create a fashion brand around karate. We can write content around karate. We could create games around karate. Whatever it is, you just think of the innovative ideas that come through the human mind are some of the most transformational in history. Nobody has the right to tell us what we're worth, what time we have to show up, what time we can leave, how much we get paid, whether or not we get paid vacation or not, and when we can retire or whatever. Nobody has the right to do that when we have the opportunity to do it for ourselves. But every one of us has, at some point, most of us at least, has signed a contract of employment and jumped into that line to support someone else's dream. but it doesn't have to be that way. And if you are an entrepreneur, if you have a single bone of entrepreneurism in your body, figure out what your passions are and figure out a way to monetize that. And there's no better time on earth than to do that right now. Because there's kids that are 14, 15, even younger years old on YouTube and TikTok making millions of dollars.
It's crazy.
Dancing and doing all kinds of silly stuff. But that's the opportunity that entrepreneurs have. You don't have to dance to anyone's drum other than your own. And I would advocate it no matter what it is, so long as it's not hurting anybody, so long as it's not hurting you or your future or making you look bad in the public eye, and so long as it's not hurting the environment or being slanderous to other people. It's a wide open world, and it's literally only limited by your own creative ideas. So the toxicity that can come with employment is one of the biggest out there. And sometimes we feel so shackled, like, what do? I could never do anything. Write a book. Think about something that you're passionate about and just go down that rabbit hole.
Or even look and find somebody that's doing something that they are passionate about and it intrigues you. Ask them questions about it. And because the sooner that you can identify a passion you have and a way to make money around it, the sooner you can create a leveraged income stream so that you are actually putting money to work for you instead of you having to go work for money every single day, the quicker you are going to be able to do more in this world. Being able to make money while you sleep means that you have the ability to impact other areas than just in your own home, right? And that is where fulfillment comes, and that's where contribution abides, right?
Didn't see that the toxicity we're going to talk about, the employee toxicity, but it's definitely there.
There's so much
you can
there.
rid yourself of.
Yeah, there's so much there. And you know what? You mentioned TikTok.
Yeah.
Guys.
I mentioned dancing, but TikTok's where
because we were talking social media. And I got to tell you guys, that is one of the ones that's becoming more and more on my radar of somewhere I really don't want to be. And I definitely don't want our kids there. The things that's
normalizing everything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the problem.
Yeah, it's changing. Well, what it is it's introducing thoughts and ideas into our kids' heads that we would never want them to even think was okay or right. And so that's where you have to really be cautious also about the toxicity that is entering your children's minds. This is not just a talk. And by the way, guys, every single time we do one of these wellness foreplay episodes, it is because you need to know about it for you, but that awareness comes responsibility because you have other people that are looking to you, whether they're children or whether they are other adults. And when you become aware, then you have a responsibility to live differently and to share the information that you've learned, which is what we're doing right now, right? Just sharing what we've learned.
The key thing here is if you look at, and I'm just going to be a little historical here, I just turned 56.
Not to be confused with being a historian.
Right. I'm not a historian.
Sorry.
For sure. But I turned 56 this month. And I remember back when there was black and white TV, and if you just look at the family unit, the nuclear family, as we're calling it now, I remember watching a TV show called Leave It to Beaver. And there was a character on there, Eddie Haskell. He was kind of like the neighborhood wise guy. And then there was Dennis the Menace, who was just, the kid who just had that kind of awkward streak in him. And they were considered controversial. If you look at the nuclear family now and some of the TV shows that are on primetime TV now, they are so dysfunctional. But why that's a problem is because it's normalizing dysfunction. That people, it's okay to have your child talk back to you and insult you and use swear words when they're talking to their parents. It's not okay, but it's accepted because it's widely shown. So popular media, whether it's movies, whether it's TV shows, or it's culture, we have gotten into situational ethics, and we've really changed the dynamics that happen in the family home, and we've changed the relationship among parents and children. And there's more, unfortunately, now there's more broken marriages than there are whole marriages, and it's because of what we've allowed into society. So, and a lot of that is toxic, whether it's behaviors, thoughts, language, what we've accepted. When we normalize dysfunction, it's no accident why we live in it, because we've normalized it. We've become desensitized to it. We laugh at it rather than gasp And I can't believe that 4-year-old talked to her mother that way and didn't get a backhand, which was, if my mother didn't spank me when I would talk, if I ever had the audacity to say to my mom, the way I hear kids talk to their mom, my mom would have smacked me, but my dad would have done it first. And it's just respect. And it's not child abuse. It's just respect. It's boundaries. And there was a lot more unity, and there was a lot more wholesomeness in nuclear families when I was a kid than there is now. And it's not because the times have changed. What we have allowed and called normal has changed, because the families, they're still mothers, they're still fathers, they're still siblings, and they're created the same way. It's the same way you got children, how children were created when I was a kid are the same way children are created now. The difference is what we've allowed into the home. And as another tangent I wasn't thinking
Here we
about,
go.
but it's toxicity. It's what we allow, and we can control in our own home what we allow. And it doesn't have to come down to we're sheltering our kids, we're depriving our kids of being, understanding what's happening in the world. No, we're teaching our kids to be respectful human beings. And there's a lot of disrespectful human beings in the world right now, and a lot of them are in authority figures. And that's part of the problem, I think, personally. And you can agree or disagree, it doesn't really matter. I'm sharing my opinion on what I've witnessed in my own life and how different the world is when I was a child, how different it is now, especially in the family unit. And it's pretty sad.
Well, I think that's exactly where we're at, though, is that we each have the opportunity to choose differently. That's why we're going through here and sharing with you what is so toxic around you that you may not even be aware is creeping in, right? Yeah. And we can choose to be different. Even though our neighbor might be living a different way, we don't have to live that way. Even though this is the way our kids' friends, parents allow them to act, that doesn't mean our kids are going to act that way, right? We have a choice and a decision to make to reduce the toxicity within our lives as much as possible, and to teach our children to do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Right? And part of that also is limiting our time on electronics.
Video games.
Video games.
Play a big role.
Well, cell phones.
Don't even get me started.
Cell phones, kids with cell phones, they've got a computer in their hands. They have access to everything right here. And everything that's out there is extremely, well, I don't want to say everything, most of what's out there is extremely toxic to their young growing minds.
Yeah. Well, this show has taken kind of an interesting twist.
And we're getting long too. So let's move on to question number 3. All right, yeah, we got some stuff to say here, right? So how can you lower the toxicity in your mind and body? So a lot of the stuff that we've already shared really kind of goes into all of that, right? The things that you're watching, the things that you're listening to, what you're letting into your circle, right? The people, the social media, all of that has to do with your mind. And if it affects your mind negatively, it is absolutely going to affect your body negatively. Okay. So just some of the things, my hair's getting in my face there. We want to talk about water, right? And the importance of making sure that the water that you are drinking, consuming, and even just as importantly, the water that you're putting on your body,
washing your clothes with,
it's like, if it's toxic, guess what? Your skin is your largest organ, and it absorbs everything you put on it right into your bloodstream. And what goes into your bloodstream circulates throughout your whole body. And so if you're putting toxic stuff in and on, then you are toxic.
Yeah. And most people live in some type of municipal water supply. In other words, you're getting your water from the city. It's being provided by the city or the town, wherever you live. Some people are on wells and on groundwater and groundwater tables and things of that nature, but those can be just as toxic. If there's any farmland nearby, if there's any agriculture nearby, if there's any industry nearby, and there's the runoffs from the industry, if there's any mining nearby where you live, if you're living in groundwater or well water, all of that can be toxic to your water supply. And then obviously in towns and cities where municipal water supplies is, there's things like arsenic,
eek,
aluminum, there's chlorine, there's fluoride. In fact, I found a quote here on fluoride that totally blew me away. I knew fluoride was toxic. Fluoride is something that, because of, Fluoride they say it's good for your teeth, good for dental care, which is why you have toothpaste with fluoride. I would highly recommend don't buy anything with fluoride. If you have toothpaste with fluoride, my recommendation, throw it away and go get toothpaste without fluoride. Your teeth being clean has nothing to do with whether or not there's fluoride in there, and your teeth being clean has everything to do with whether or not you get cavities. So fluoride doesn't prevent cavities. Brushing your teeth and flossing your teeth properly prevents cavities. Fluoride, you've been sold a bad bill of goods. But let me share with you what a doctor, Dr. Dean Burke, he worked for the National Cancer Institute for 35 years. This is what he says about fluoride. In point of fact, not fake news, in point of fact, fluoride causes more human cancer, death, and causes it faster than any other chemical.
Did you hear that?
That's fluoride.
Did you hear that?
Added to your toothpaste, added to your municipal water.
Whoa.
So there's also over-the-counter and prescription drug residue in water. Why? Because sometimes people flush it down the toilet, or they throw the whole bottle down the toilet, or they take it into their body and they create excrement, which goes down the toilet, gets cleaned up by the sewers or by the sanitation department, the water treatment plants, and pumped right back into your municipal supply. But there's also pesticides, residues. There's also all kinds of chemicals in municipal water. So if you can't get away from municipal water, boiling it could help, but there's filtration systems. Look for the reverse osmosis is by far the most common and the most widely utilized, and it works well. But there's also, you can get filters that you put on each of your shower heads that will absorb, like charcoal filters that will absorb extra chemicals and the other things, the additives that go into, again, municipal water, because what goes on your body goes in your body, and what goes in your body is what determines whether or not you're toxic. So I don't want to mention any names, but if you do it, because we're not here to provide or solicit or help any other companies, but there's a lot of them out there. Reverse osmosis, you can go down to your local Home Depot or Lowe's or your Ace Hardware store and buy a reverse osmosis, probably even Costco. We've seen them at Costco. Reverse osmosis is really, really good for your household. And then the softening the water with other things there's many options out there, but do what you can to make your water coming into your house, which if you drink it, if you make your food with it, you wash your clothes with it, you shower in it, then it is going, and if it's toxic, it's going inside and making you toxic, and you can definitely minimize that. Reverse osmosis is probably the most common, and it has lots and lots of variations to it, a lot of diversity to it, a lot of extra filters, carbon filters, for example, on your shower heads.
Well, how can they find out if their water might be toxic in the first place?
Ask your city, ask your local government. I mean, just ask your local town. Just go on to most towns have their own websites. Go on there and look at the water supply.
The water quality. They have like a water quality chart. On their websites. So go check that out and see if you need to do something about your water quality, right?
Where I got this is Dr. Jockers. So it's Dr. Jockers, JOCKERS.com, drjockers.com/water-toxins. And just to kind of give you the idea of what's in it. What's in a glass of tap water will blow your mind how toxic it is.
Yeah, so now that we've talked about water and hydration, let's talk a little bit about how you can get rid of some of those toxins that have come into your body. One of my favorites is exercise. You got to sweat a lot.
Sweat it out.
Sweat a lot, because that is your body's natural way of first cooling down your body, but also getting toxins out through your pores, getting rid of things that have found their way into your bodies, right? So exercise a lot. Now, one of the things that we really want to spend a little bit of time on is the products that you're using around your house, as in cleaning products, as well as the products that you're using on your body. So personal care products. We're talking about shampoo, conditioner, hairspray, mousse. How about skincare products? Your body wash, lotions, all of those things. Again, what we mentioned just a moment ago, everything that you put on your body goes into your body. It goes into your body in such a way that it goes into your bloodstream. Your bloodstream circulates throughout your whole body, right? You have to have the blood. And so it's spreading those toxins everywhere, and toxins like to go and hide and stay there if you let them, okay? So we're gonna be sharing in question number 4, what you can do to really go and check out all of the personal care products that you're using, because it would be, I would say that if you're gonna do one thing from this broadcast today, from this episode, is go and do an evaluation of the products that you're using on a daily basis. And we'll show you how you can do that. We'll tell you all about it so that you can feel empowered to take control over and start making some different decisions around your personal care. And then again, you know, your thoughts, the things that you focus on is what comes to be, because that's the power that you have in your mind. And so you've got to make sure that you are being a positive person over a negative person, that you are being a solutions-based person instead of only seeing the problem, right? And I loved the example that was given to us in one of the trainings that we had recently, that if you take a single piece of paper and if you write problems on one side, and then on the other side you write solutions, if you turn it around and you're only looking at the problem, you can never see the solutions. But if you decide that you're going to remove the toxicity, because remember, we're thinking about the problem all the time is going to be toxic to you. If you look at the solution only and work on the solution, you end up never seeing your problems.
Right. This is a shift in mindset, a shift in focus, and a shift in attention span, which makes all the difference in the kind of quality of life you live.
Yeah. So again, it just comes down to that. The garbage in is going to be garbage out.
And it's a proven fact. Optimists live longer than pessimists.
Yes.
It's science.
So let's go ahead and let's give you some resources around how you can, now that you've done this little bit of self-evaluation, so what resources can you use to learn more about how you can lower the toxicity in your life? So there's actually a lot of them out there, so many resources, because there's a lot of people that are realizing that, hey, people need help. We don't just know everything, right? And so if one person can bring a good piece of information and another one brings, and we all just bring this good information together, then there becomes a library of resources. So some of those that we found for you, Dondi found this really cool one that I didn't know about before. It's naturesfabrics.com.
Yeah. For the people that like to make your own clothes or like to make your own curtains or sheets or whatever, it's unbelievable. And they have all kinds of things. I mean, we have bamboo sheets and absolutely love the bamboo sheets, which is a natural fiber, by the way.
But I also really like the cotton, the Giza cotton
ones. The Giza cotton sheets are awesome.
I love those too.
Yes, thank you, mypillow.com. Love those. But I didn't know.
Sorry, we don't have a promo code for you today.
I didn't know that just using the fiber of bamboo, you can have velour bamboo, you can have terry cloth, you can have jersey material, spandex-like material, all from the same fiber. And it's unbelievable. It's incredibly soft and it's made from bamboo. So natural fibers, and it's naturalfabrics.com, but so primarily cotton, bamboo, silk, and wool. They're made in nature. And you can find some that have natural dyes as well, but if you have synthetic fibers, there's toxicity, there's petroleum products, there's toxins that go into synthetic fibers, and it's not nearly as healthy for your body because it sits on your body. And very, very important to really reduce your toxic load from a clothing standpoint, natural fiber clothing.
Yep, and I love it. Again, David, thank you so much. You got us just before we were bringing that to the listeners. EWG.org.
Yes, environmentalworkinggroup.org.
Okay, and so you can go there. You can learn about water. You can learn about food. Personal products, about food, all kinds of things. So EWG.org, and then it's generally a / and water or / and skin deep. So there's all kinds of different information
there's
there.
Apps for it too.
Yeah. And then there's madesafe.org. This has got so much information in there. So guys, so what this does is we're not just telling you one place to go and saying, oh yeah, all the information you need is right here. No, you need to go and you need to do some research for yourself. You need to find your own personal truth and know exactly what is right for you, right? And you can do that by comparing the information that's on these different sites and seeing what comes up the most and thinking, hey, if they all think it's all a good idea, then hey, maybe it's a good idea for me too, right? And so that's another one, madesafe.org. One of our favorites that we use every single day. Every time we go to the store to check on something, whether it is a skin product, whether it's a makeup product, whether it's a personal care product, a hygiene product, we always go to Think Dirty app. It's so easy. You just download the app. You can scan the barcode and it will tell you what level of toxicity is in this product, from a 0 to 10, 0 being the best, 10 being the worst, right? If you want to check it out, go and download that app, Think Dirty, on whichever app store that you have. And then you can open it up and go into your bathroom and scan the barcodes of your body wash, your hair care, your shampoo, conditioner.
And sit down.
Because you're going to freak out. You're going to freak out. So I freaked out the first time when I learned about this, when we had been suggested for specific products to use on our granddaughter. She was only 2 at the time. And we were told this specific brand that was organic and it was natural and it was safe and it was, suggested for children. And when I scanned the barcode, it had an 8. It was a solid red, meaning it is one of the highest toxic load products that there is. And I had been using it on my granddaughter. Can you say grandma guilt? I had all kinds of grandma guilt right then, and so thankfully, our company actually came out with some phenomenal products that are all 1s and 0s on that Think Dirty app. So super clean and green. If you want to check those out, you can go and just search True Science and you'll see all of the products that we have available there. But amazing.
About Think Dirty app is that it's actually the app is called Think Dirty Shop Clean. It's based on the colors of the traffic lights. So the green products, when you scan that barcode, it comes up green and the number, it means good. Green, go. Use the product. The yellow, partially okay, partially toxic. Maybe you want to pump the brakes a little bit and do a little further investigation. And then the red ones, don't use. Toxic. And it even tells you why and what specific ingredients make that product a red or a yellow. The green ones are all safe, but the yellow and red, it actually tells you what the violating ingredients are, what the chemicals are, why it's harmful to you. And it's awesome. Another one for food is called Yuka, Y-U-K-A. Same principle, same kind of thing. You scan the barcode of any kind of food that you want to put in your shopping cart. So next time you go to the grocery store, or before you go, download the Yuka app, Y-U-K-A, and it will tell you kind of a similar system, whether it's good, and it's kind of rated from 0 to 100. The higher the number, the better the product. It'll tell you bad, poor, good, fair, excellent. And so scan the food products that you've been actually download it and go into your pantry. Yeah,
we were shocked
today. Download the Yuka app, go into your pantry, then download the Think Dirty app and go into your bathroom. You're going to be shocked especially if you're trying to reduce your toxic load, but it's super important because it tells you why they're good and why they're bad. What ingredients, what are the bad things? And it's not all of them. It's not going to, you can't scan a carrot, but speaking of food, there are barcodes on food too. Do you know how to read your barcode on your food? Important. 5-digit codes and 4-digit codes. The 5-digit codes that begin with a 9, this is specifically for fruits and vegetables. 5-digit barcodes with the number 9 as the first digit means it is organic. So look for the 5-digit codes beginning with 9s in your fruits and vegetables and you're getting organic. For the 5-digit codes that begin with 8, they're GMO. Meaning they have been manipulated in a laboratory. That is not how that pear or apple or celery was made in nature. It has been tampered with down to the DNA level. Genetically modified foods, I would tell you stay away from them because genetically modified foods, and guess what? What's the old saying? You are what you eat. If you're eating things that have been genetically modified, you just became genetically modified. So stay away from the 8-digit or the 5-digit codes begin with an 8 and the 4-digit codes. The 4-digit codes with no 8 or 9 in the beginning, the 4-digit codes mean there's pesticides on that food. So go look for the 5-digit codes beginning with 9s, which are organic. you can't go wrong. If you have to buy a 4-digit code or you don't have organic options, the 4-digit codes, you can wash them in warm soapy water. Again, we recommend Castile soap. Add a little white vinegar in there. Give it a good rub down. You don't need to buy that spray bottle for your vegetables, because if you have Castile soap, which is super, super cheap, it's a $0. Also on the Think Dirty app, add a little purified or a little distilled white vinegar in there. Let it dry. You're good to go.
But you can use it in a spray bottle. You can create your own.
Yeah, you can create your own.
You just don't have to go and buy what's
yeah.
there at the store, because it works really,
it's expensive,
really great. So a few other resources, because we need to get off of here because people got things to do, right? You can't just sit here and listen to us. So you already talked about EMF'd, but how about EMFacademy.com?
Yes.
That's another really good one to learn more about 5G
and learn about how to protect your family against 5G. Thank you. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then when you feel like you realize that you've really become quite a toxic person because your environment's toxic, your food maybe that you've been eating has been toxic, the products that you've been putting on yourself for years are toxic and it's not good, think about detoxing. There's a lot of different options that you can do for detoxing. A lot of the things that we do, you can actually find at dondiandmarcy.com under our favorites. We've got specific area for detoxes, including a detox smoothie by the Medical Medium, which we've been drinking for over a year now. And since my explant, really getting a lot of great benefits from that. So super, super excited about that. So guys, we just hope that you feel a little bit more empowered. Just pick a few things of what we've talked about today. First of all, do that evaluation, become aware of where you're at, maybe in toxicity level in these 4 areas. You know, your mind and your body, your environment, and your home. So
give yourself a grade.
Yeah, give yourself a grade, but don't be too hard on yourself. Just think about it this way. Every single day, have the goal of just being 1% better.
Yes.
Just 1% better tomorrow than you were today, and you will be on your way to living healthy in this toxic world. So guys, thank you so much for joining us for this episode number 33, How to Live Healthy in a Toxic World. We'd love to invite you to go over to dondiandmarcy.com and check out everything that we've got there. Give us some episode ideas. We receive prayer requests as well on this website. We'd love to hear how we can pray for you. Go to our favorites and see what we've got listed there as well. And we'd love for you to do us a favor, and wherever you're listening to this on the podcast, please go and give us a 5-star review and share this out with your friends. All of your friends, whether you're on social media, Facebook, YouTube, or listening to this podcast, they all need to hear this information and be empowered as well. So thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys. See you next episode. Bye, guys.